So I think you're going to love Taylor Ely. I mean, we really talked about limiting beliefs and how to stop them and, how you can have strategies to help you overcome them because we have so many things that limit us from being truly who we want to be, really what we want to bring out into the world. And you only have one life. And so we talk about, coaching and having coaching in your life and investing in yourself and what all that means and how we can just get through all the barriers that we have. So this was a great conversation. I know you're going to love it. So I'm going to stay quiet so you can go watch it. All right. I'll see you there. What's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. And I love you guys. So I have been getting like a bunch of like DMs and emails and stuff talking about how you love this episode and that episode. And you guys have gotten me over 100,000 downloads. And that's because of like all of the amount of work that you guys put into make sure you share the episodes, like, and all that great stuff. And I really adore you. And as you know, I love talking to really good humans, right? We go around this crazy planet of ours, finding the best humans we can find to come on here to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. And I really, really love the energy of this coach. So I cannot wait to introduce her. She is Taylor. She is a certified life coach dedicated to empowering women to find deeper fulfillment by aligning their lives with their core values. And I think a lot of us are feeling a little bit fragmented these days. So we need somebody to help us get aligned. Now, Taylor started as a career coach for high school and college students, and quickly discovering her passion for coaching, she pursued certification in life coaching to make a greater impact, specializing in helping women navigate these personal challenges through mindset growth and self-awareness. Now, you guys know we love to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. That's what we do around here. So I cannot wait to dive into this with you. How are you, Taylor? How you doing?
I'm doing so good. It was a really good Monday. It's thunderstorming outside
I
in
love that.
Nashville, but yeah, it was a productive day. I am an Enneagram 3, so I just love being productive, getting things done, kind of hitting the ground running on a Monday,
Yeah.
but doing good. So
Good. Good. You already just throwing out all these words. Enneagram 3, got all this going on. Okay. All right, Taylor, we're gonna get into it. So I love speaking to people like you, right? Because you guys you're intentional. You're intentionally
Mhm.
trying to help others really align themselves and find out who they are. But before we get into all the nitty-gritties, I do want to know a little bit more about you. So tell me a little bit more about you, Taylor. Who are you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's a big question.
It is a big question.
Well, obviously my name is Taylor. I work as a life coach. I just love helping people. I mean, that's like one of my just like core values is helping other people. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I'm someone who's really curious about the world. I love
Mm-hmm.
learning. I love helping people. I love bettering myself, super passionate about personal growth. Faith is big for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of me like in a nutshell. I mean, there's obviously so much I could share, but those are probably some of the biggest things about me. So,
But what got you into like really wanting to dive into the world of coaching? Like why become a life coach? I mean, I know that you got
yeah.
inspired by helping like I read
Mhm.
in your bio, high school and college students, but tell me a little bit more about that journey.
Absolutely, yes. So back in 2020, I'd been working as a career coach for probably about a year, and then kind of was at a bit of a crossroads in my own life, and just going
Mm,
through a period of transition, and just like kind of just felt like there was more. There was more in life, and I just hadn't found it quite yet.
yeah.
And I kind of went on my own journey, and I was just like looking up a lot about personal growth, and I came across different like YouTube videos and social media accounts of different coaches, and I think at that point in time, I was feeling really stuck, just like personally. And I was really resonating with just the way that these coaches were talking about navigating transition and your core values and really figuring out like who you are and creating an aligned life. And it was just the way that they would frame stuff in terms of mindset work. It
Right.
was it was just like it flipped a lot of my perspectives on its head. At the time I was single, a lot of my friends are in relationships, and just through these different coaches online that I was seeing, I was just able to work through different things and get
Mhm.
breakthrough in my own
Mhm.
personal life and kind of see where I was kind of getting a little stuck in my own way a bit. And kind of from there ended up doing a life coaching certification and really diving deeper just into the personal growth world and getting
Yeah.
more tools for my toolbox, even as I was working as a career coach at the time. So really kicked off this whole journey and, kind of I really do feel like life coaching is like my passion and calling. And I almost feel like it's like to reach the person I was back
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
2020
Yeah.
and, just equipping people with tools to really better themselves and get unstuck. So that's like a little snippet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, for most of us, right, that are life coaches, that is the journey, right? It is
Mhm.
something, and I think that's why it's called life coaching, because I think it's part of our life, and it's somebody that you want to reach maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20
Yep.
years ago, right? So it's a journey. And I got into personal development, and it's true,
Mhm.
it's addicting, isn't it? Like you just start to
Yeah,
like, oh, wait, neural pathways and learning new things and shifting I mean, it's like so fun. It's so fun because
it's the best.
it's you realize you don't have to stay stuck. You realize you don't have to stay where you are. And then you start to wait, I can look at this completely differently. Like it just is. It doesn't have to be good or bad. Like I can shift that. Like what
Right.
I mean, I love this stuff. I just love
Yes,
this.
same.
I
I can
so
talk
love
about
it.
it. I could talk about it all
Yeah.
day long just
Same.
because
Oh my God, it's so good. So good. So good.
it's the
So
best.
yeah, I mean, I did this. I had that awakening in my life too. I wrote my
Mhm.
autobiography in 2018. I was spiritually leading women since
Mm.
2003 or so.
Wow.
And so then I wrote my autobiography and I realized the impact that that had on people and
Wow.
in a good way. And then I said, wait, okay, I want to dig
Mhm.
into that. Why does my
Mhm.
story resonate so much?
Right.
And that's when you start to realize that your life experiences and your story is not even for you anymore, but for others.
Yes.
Right. Right. So
Absolutely.
tell me the kind of coaching that you're into. And then I
Yeah.
want to like for the coaches that are listening and the
Yeah.
solopreneurs out there, I do want to talk to you about, the challenges and the walls that we hit as life coaches, because
Absolutely.
I was reading a statistic. It's like 89 or 90% of people who
Mm.
start off in coaching quit within the first year. Like that's
Right.
crazy. That's crazy, right?
Absolutely.
But I could understand it because
Yeah.
it's hard. It's
Absolutely.
hard.
It has to be, I feel like
Yeah.
to make it as a coach or really as an entrepreneur, there has to be a deeper driving
Yes.
passion for you and a
Yes.
deeper vision more than just money. Cause obviously it's like,
Yeah.
you obviously need to make money to live, right? But I think it's like if you're in it just for the money, it's not like a quick thing. Like it really is about building an aligned business that is supporting your life, helping people, and really knowing the skills for how to do that. And
Right.
that takes time. It's not an overnight thing.
Right,
So
right, right. And we're still learning. Like you always end up learning
absolutely.
a new method, a new this, a new that, right? So it's always something
Yes.
new. So tell me a bit about your coaching journey. Like when you
Yeah.
first started, like what did you decide you wanted to start doing? Like give me that.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So obviously, I started as a career coach, transitioned, left that job, and then kind of transitioned more to life coaching. And I think honestly, when I first started life coaching, I really was like, okay, like the person I want to reach is me 5 years ago, like somebody who's in transition. Maybe they're single, maybe they're
Mm,
figuring out their vision for their life. They're figuring out what they really want, and then now I have a life coaching program where it's like a 3 month one-on-one program where it's
mm,
really designed to help women really kind of figure that stuff out, right? Like core values, life vision, what they're looking for in like a romantic partner, figuring out their spirituality, right? And really understanding the ways they're holding themselves back. And
mm,
so I think that I've taken snippets of kind of my own journey and like things
yeah.
I've learned along the way and then put it into, one-on-one coaching and a
Hmm.
program that I really believe can help a lot of women and a lot of people find that deeper fulfillment. Cause kind of like I said earlier, I think as adults, it's like you don't really have somebody giving you the step-by-step playbook for how to have a successful life, right? It's kind of on
Right,
you
right,
to figure that out, and we can feel kind of lost and unfulfilled, like, okay, like, man, I don't have a career that I like, or I'm dating
right.
someone I feel kind of iffy about it, and it's like giving people those tools is definitely my passion. And I think like as I continue to grow as a coach and even have my own coach, and learn more tools and more things,
Yes.
I think that has really helped me like refine my coaching, because I think a good coach is somebody who can really be a neutral outside person and really
Mm-hmm.
hear what people aren't saying.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that can be a key to unlocking what's holding people back, right? It's like the stuff you don't say, right? And it's the
Yeah.
stuff that you kind of comes through your intuition of like, oh, here's like a limiting belief that you're believing about XYZ. So,
Mhm. And we actually have a lot of limiting beliefs that we don't realize are limiting beliefs, right?
oh
We
yeah.
just we think of them as like I always say, well, you can either thrive or have a reason, right? Because we always have a reason, an excuse, a reason why we
Absolutely.
can't do X, right? And
Mhm.
the truth is some of those are valid. The problem is when they are no longer valid, but you're still trying to validate them. That's when
Mhm.
it's the problem, right? When you're using
Right.
the same excuse, but it's now it's out. I call it outdated.
Mhm.
It's just completely outdated, and it needs to be rebooted and redone. That's
Absolutely.
why I love I got my master certification in neuro linguistic programming because
Yep.
I wanted to like change the narrative in my mind, like change that whole narrative and the way I thought and the way that I was
Mhm.
limited, that I didn't realize that I was limited. And it's funny.
Yes.
It's amazing. I love that you said, you know what, I do want to learn about this more. So you went to get
Yep.
more of the structure of what a life coach is, because the
Yep.
truth is, Taylor, you already have whatever's in you is
Yeah.
already in you. It's
Absolutely.
already in you. And I also
Absolutely.
caught on to when you said, and
Mhm.
my coach. See, I believe in that. I believe that we all need a
Absolutely.
coach. I
We
believe
all need a coach. That's for sure.
I really believe that. I'm a big fan of coaches. Of course, I'm a coach, but I'm a big fan of
Right.
having a coach, and I
Support.
invest heavily in my coaches, like
Yes.
a lot of money in my coaches. But
Yeah.
it's for your growth,
Mhm.
like you have to show up for you. You have
Mhm.
to invest in you. You have to.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I think we spend a lot of our times, like when you said you were in that transition, we spend a
Mhm.
lot of our times investing in our career, investing in somebody else's dream, investing in
Yep.
somebody else's business and somebody else's techniques. And we don't
Mhm.
really take that time to invest in us, right? So when you first started to
Mhm.
become a coach, I want to know
Yeah.
what that felt like for you to finally like invest in you,
Mhm.
like to put the money down to get the
Ooh,
certification, to put
yeah.
the money, right? How did that feel for
Yeah.
you?
Oh, yeah, it was for sure scary. I'd never spent that much money on myself ever in my entire
Right,
life, and,
right,
um, it was weird, though, because my intuition was kinda going off of, like, "You need to do this now," like, "This
right,
is the time to do this now," and I've had those moments throughout my life, even I just moved to Nashville, similar. It was just like I had this deep intuitive feeling of, like, "This is the time to do it, like, right now," and
right.
I just had a feeling. I was like, I'm gonna regret this if I don't invest in this certification. It
Yeah,
was for sure really scary, but it was really the first step, I think, in really seeing my dreams as valuable, right? Because I think we have this thing where we kind of like push off our dreams, like, oh, when I'm married or when I have more money, I'll do XYZ, instead of realizing that like most of the people we look up to in life, like, I think of different coaches I look up to, or we think of like Tony Robbins, right? In the
right.
personal growth world. It's like they didn't have absolutely everything they needed. They made it happen
That's right.
because their vision was bigger than their excuses. And I think that's just been a theme throughout the years for me in a lot of different hard life seasons of like, okay, I could play the victim and be like, oh, I don't have enough money for this. Or instead of being like, okay, like what can I do to actually make this a reality? Is it
Right.
working more hours? Is it taking side jobs? Is it getting a loan, right? Like whatever it is, like to kind of have that mentality of like the people that succeed in life are the people that eliminate the excuses
Yeah.
and literally find a way to make it
Yeah, yeah.
happen. So,
It's very, very true. It's very, very true. So tell me about how, if somebody's listening right now, right? Because I have a
yeah,
lot of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, coaches, things like that that listen.
yeah,
And like I told you, the percentage is so ridiculously
yeah,
high of people who
absolutely.
quit, right? People who just quit the first year. And I want to demystify something, because one of the things that is happening, I think, a bit too much in this online space is coaches telling you, within like 60 days you're going to have 100,000 a month, and but
Yep.
that's not true. It's not real, and it's not true. Now,
No.
can it
Yeah.
happen? Yeah, I mean, anything is
Sure.
possible. Anything can happen. But the
Totally.
truth is when you set people up for that and then they don't reach that, they
Mm.
feel like complete failures, right? Or if they have a money belief where they're not, they
Mhm.
even think they're worth that, then they
Absolutely.
really won't go for it, right? Then they really feel
Totally.
terrible. So I think we have to
Mhm.
be really careful about those kind of things, right? Like giving somebody an audacious claim like that. Now, I think people
Right.
can do audacious goals. I just think
Absolutely.
it's I don't know how you feel about that, but I just feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, integrity is everything, right? There's
Yes.
a lot of people that are really skeptical of coaching because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's, 10K, whatever
Right.
amount,
Right.
people throw around. But it's like, it's, yeah, it's like you have to have proof and results of like people's lives being changed. And then also you have to really believe in what you're doing and really believe that you can deliver that kind of results. And I'm definitely very skeptical of people like promising stuff in such a short amount of time because I believe a
Yeah.
lot can happen in a short amount of time, but
Yeah.
also it's like the results don't always come easily. For a lot of people, at least that I look up to, whether it's authors or speakers or podcasters, it's like sometimes they had a year or two where they barely made any money, but they
Exactly.
literally were so connected to their why and to their vision and like why they were doing what they were doing that they persevered and they built the foundation for a really strong business and a personal brand that could sustain more success, right? Because
Yeah.
we all want the like quick hit of like money or fame or followers, all that stuff. But it's like, if you get that too quickly without the like character piece, it's like it can all burn to the ground, right? Because
Hmm.
then you
Hmm.
just get
Hmm.
swept up in all of that versus like the core of why you're doing what you're doing, which is like helping people and giving them the tools they need to change their life. So,
Right, 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 right. No, yeah, I
but,
agree with that. I agree with everything you just said. And I think that,
yeah,
that is something that this is why I wanted to have this space, right? Because
yeah.
in podcasting, I've gotten quite a few clients with through
Mm,
podcasting, and it's
mhm.
because, people can hear you and they understand you and you're being
Builds
authentic and real
trust.
at that moment,
Yeah,
right? And like
absolutely.
it just is, right? So talk to
Right.
me about what you've created. What does your program? I
Yeah.
know you said one-on-one,
Yeah.
like, but what
Mhm.
is it that you are, aiming to do? What's your pillars? What are you doing with
Yeah.
people?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, really, my goal with Align is really creating just like a safe container for women to be able to personalize coaching with them, right? Because obviously I have a structure and things I walk through,
Mhm.
clients through, but ultimately it's really a personalized space, right? For them to bring, like, okay, let's say it's their dating life, right? They've been single for 5 years, all their friends are married, right? It's like, okay, like, what are the limiting beliefs around your love life or around what you can have in life, right? And
Right.
getting super clear on vision is huge in Align because I think if you don't have a vision, it's like you're just going to be going after what everybody else tells you, right, that you should want for your life and everyone else's version of success. So I think a big piece of Align is really aligning with your core values so you can
Mm,
create really your own version of success and experience inner healing. Have a coach that can really hold you accountable, right? Because I mean,
that's yeah,
I've worked with a
huge.
lot of coaches and it's like,
Huge.
yeah, it's like they're not just telling you what you want to hear. They're like, hey, this is a limiting belief you have and you're capping yourself and like you're hitting a ceiling over and over again because you haven't been willing to face that fear around money or that
Yep.
fear around your love life or fear around your own confidence, right? And so I think in Align, the main goal is helping people align with their core values, creating that vision, and then starting to take action steps towards it, right? I think a big part of coaching is like holding space for people as they take the scary steps, right?
Mhm,
To
mhm. Yeah.
build the business, get out there and dating again, really heal their relationship with themselves, right? And really
Yeah.
cultivate it better. Because if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, it's like, how can you have a great relationship with other people? Because you just end up projecting all of your stuff if you're not
Yep.
aware of it. So awareness is super, super big. So,
Yeah. So what do you think you and I can inspire someone
mm,
to do right now, right? Like say let's say somebody's listening right now and
mm,
they are thinking of getting into this coaching world, not too
yeah,
sure,
right.
or maybe they don't even feel like they have a limiting belief. Do you have an exercise or something that you put people through to kind of bring some awareness to themselves?
Definitely, yes. Limiting beliefs is probably one of my favorite topics out there because when I first learned about what a limiting belief was, essentially like a way where you're kind of blocking yourself, and it's like
Yeah.
those conscious narratives we've told ourselves,
I
right?
I
Like,
didn't even know I had limiting beliefs until I found out what limiting belief was. I'm like, "What is that?"
yes,
I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh, I got a lot of those."
Yes. So definitely something I like to do with clients, and I do this with myself a lot too, is like, where in your life do you catch yourself saying, I always or I never? And actually writing out a list. Is it like
Mm,
I never have enough money every month, or I'm always going to be the single friend, or I'm never going to succeed in business, right? Because anywhere we have those extremes of like always and never is where a limiting belief is,
that's
right?
so
Because
good. That's good.
it's like a subconscious thing that we picked up sometimes even in childhood, right? Where like certain memories or things happen to us, we create meaning from it. And then it becomes a narrative. And then once that narrative is repeated, it becomes a belief, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that that is something I really like to hit hard with clients in the
I
beginning,
love that.
because a lot of times we have like one or two narratives that are like running our lives like completely, where it's like we don't even realize how we're blocking ourselves
Yeah,
from experiencing breakthrough because we just keep telling ourselves the same thing. And then we end up repelling the very thing we want because we've already told ourselves we can't have it or we don't deserve it. So,
I love that. I love that.
mhm.
And so that's what, like, the first thing you're doing with your clients, or at least giving as a giveaway
Yeah,
right now, is to make sure that
yeah,
they write a list on
yep,
I always and I never. Is that right? I always and
yep,
I never.
mhm, yep,
That's
yep.
awesome. Okay, guys, listen up. Get your pen and paper.
Get it
I
out.
always and I never. I mean, listen, the truth is that
Mm,
your brain is always going to try to protect you. That's what
absolutely.
it's supposed to do, right? That's what
Yep.
it's supposed to do. And so you have to
Mhm.
remember that, when your brain is telling you that, it is not a bad thing, and it's not a right thing, it's not a up thing, it's not a down thing.
Yep.
It's just a thing. It's literally just trying to
Neutral.
protect you. And so it
Absolutely.
knows, right? It knows. Oh, wait a minute. Every
Mhm.
time I say I never,
Yep.
nothing bad happens, so that's good.
Totally.
Every time I say I always, nothing bad happens, so that's good. So your brain is
Right.
going, okay, so those are our parameters. Now
Mhm.
you have to like go into the mind and unlock those parameters so that because you could expand, right? I
Well,
love that.
right. And I think another to add to that little exercise too is like something that I learned from my coaches I've worked with is, how is that belief serving you, right? So
Yes,
it's like if,
exactly.
if, if you're saying to yourself, well, like, okay, like I always attract unavailable guys, right? Or like I'll always be single, right? So it's like what identify for yourself, like what part of that belief actually serves you, right? It's
Right.
like and looking at okay like if I'm single I can't get my heart broken, right? Because I'm not putting myself out there, right? And
That's
really look
right.
at like okay there's actually something I'm getting out of this belief and that's why I'm holding on to it, right? Because we subconsciously think it's like keeping us safe when in reality it's actually blocking you, right? Because
Right.
anything worth having requires vulnerability, right? And so it's like
Yep.
to
Yep.
actually experience a fulfilling life requires vulnerability on literally all fronts in business, in love, in life, in friendship, right? And so
That's
it's
right.
like if you build all these walls up around yourself, right? And with these different beliefs, then it's like, yes, you might not get your heart broken or you might not, have a failed business venture or whatever,
Mhm.
but then you're actually not experiencing the fulfillment that you really want deep down. So,
So good. That's so good. I was talking to someone recently too. We were talking, and there was so many limiting beliefs. There's so many that I,
mhm.
I I pointed out. I think six in one conversation,
Mm,
right? And it
yeah,
was like I can't. Oh, because and this and because and there, and I'm like, and I just let the person
mm,
talk and let the person talk, and I'm like, okay, so here's what I wrote down.
yep.
XYZ, but and there was oh shoot. I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah. In one like sentence, all I asked you was, "What are you doing
Yeah,
about this?" Holy cow. I'm
right.
like, yeah. So you have to start
Yeah,
catching yourself. Like you got to catch yourself. As soon as your heart
yeah,
desires something and your brain blocks it, you have to ask yourself, why is my
right.
brain blocking that? What's happening here? Right?
Yeah,
So
no, exactly, and
yeah.
I think if you have because we've all been there, right? In those tough
Oh
seasons, it's
yeah.
like it's
Oh
like the
yeah.
explosion of limiting beliefs, especially when you're doing anything new, it's like that's usually when they all
Oh,
pop
yeah,
up,
all
right?
of them. You're not smart enough, good enough,
Yes!
nothing. Nothing's enough. You never have enough.
And I feel like our reticular activating system too is always like looking for evidence of what we already believe.
Yep,
And so
yep,
it's like that's why
exactly,
you really have to look for evidence of the opposite, right? And
exactly.
so I think with limiting beliefs, if you have an abundance, if someone's listening and they have an abundance of limiting beliefs, you really want to pause and write them down and then
Yep,
ask yourself, okay, which of these feels like the biggest punch in the gut right now? Like which of
right.
these like actually makes me pause and be like, ooh, like that is rough, right? And so I think
Yeah,
when you can do
yeah,
that, it can help you identify which one to focus on first because you can't
mhm,
attack them all at once because it's like you really have to take the time to understand like where did this belief come in? Is
yeah.
there a memory that even this came in or an experience that I need to like work on and heal? So I
Oh,
think that's
absolutely. I mean, I remember when I started to really focus in on what I was saying. Every time I
important.
did something that I didn't feel good about, or say I dropped something, "Oh my god, you're so stupid." And I'm like,
Mm. Yes.
"Whoa, whoa, hold on a second. What
Yeah.
is that about?" Right? And then, of course, you dig deep and you realize, "Oh, it's because your aunt called you
Mhm.
stupid all the time, or your this happened or
Right.
that's happened, so it's amazing. Like, you don't
Yeah.
realize that you do that. Like, oh, I'm just having a shit day, like always.
Totally.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we
Oh,
all do it. We all do it.
absolutely.
Sometimes I'll say to my husband, "Oh my God, I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm gonna wake up again, okay? Because
Reset.
we're gonna reset the day, because one of the things that I
Yeah.
strongly believe in is
Right.
the way your day starts. Let's say if it starts at a shit day, let's say that you just got hit with a lot of things, your work, your whatever, it's a really shitty day. That doesn't mean your day ends that way. You can
Mm.
just deal with that situation, right?
Yep.
So, like I think it was like last week or something, my husband called me, he's like, "Oh my God, this day is ruined. Everything's." I was like, "Really? It's like 12:30. Like, what do you it's like
Right.
lunchtime. What do you mean it's ruined,
Right.
right? Like, we got another like 12 something hours before the 24 hours are up. What are you talking about?" But
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you
Mhm.
pause, to Taylor's point, and you just say,
Yeah.
"Hold on, what is that? Whoa, what a second. Let me write that down.
Yep.
How does that make me feel?" Because most of the time we're on
Mhm.
autopilot, right? It's your
Yes.
subconscious. It makes sure that it protects you and runs your
Absolutely.
life accordingly. One of the biggest tricks too, Taylor, that really helped me to stop that
Mhm.
nonsense was doing things opposite. So if I brush my teeth with
Mm.
my right hand, I switched it to my left.
Wow.
If I brush my hair with my right, I switched it to my left, and so on
Mm.
and so forth. And to
Right.
break that monotony, the patterns,
Ooh,
that happen all the
definitely.
time. So my brain got a little confused, like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm brushing with my left hand, and that's it.
That's amazing. You're like, I am breaking the matrix
Yeah,
here.
I'm gonna break your brain, break my own brain. Yeah, it's
I
so
love
funny.
that.
So,
That's so
Taylor,
funny.
I love what you're doing, and I
Yeah.
love that you're showing up for people. And thank you also for
Mhm.
sharing, like what it is when you are getting into coaching. Because when
Yeah.
people are getting into coaching, there's this really misconception and belief that you're just going to go get certified and boom, business is coming out the door because you showed up to the world.
Mhm.
And there's so much to
Yeah,
do. Like, you have to have the right marketing, the right CTA, the right automations, the right funnels,
absolutely.
right? So, but you don't
Mm,
know that when you're starting. And so if you're talking
totally.
to your coach girl right now, somebody who's
Yeah.
starting off, what would you recommend? What would you advise them if they're starting off?
Definitely. Well, I think being certified definitely helps, right? Having some type of certification, right? It's not the end all be all, right? Because there are people that can go out and get a certification and do absolutely nothing with it, right? But I think that if you're considering entrepreneurship, really recognizing that, like, yes, you want to hone your skill as a coach, but then you're also signing up to do business, right? And
Right,
to
right.
learn how to run a successful business and marketing, right? You're wearing kind of all of the hats. And so I think the biggest thing I would recommend is getting support, right? Like, don't try to just do it
100%.
all on your own. Like, really invest in, doing some type of certification to hone your craft, but then also, investing either into books or whether it's a business coach or someone that can really help you come up with a plan, right? Because I think
Yeah,
in business, the biggest thing is having a vision for, like, 5 years down the line, but then also
yeah.
having a plan for the next 6 months and like what you really want to do and making it tangible, right? Because a lot of times people come into entrepreneurship for, oh, I'm going to make all this money and all this stuff, right? But you can end up
Exactly.
burning out and working 60-hour weeks when you were working 40 in corporate. And so it's
Right.
like you have to learn how to work harder and not, or work smarter and not harder. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
just, I think that can really help. And really, as a coach, one of the biggest things is like taking really good care of yourself, right?
Mhm.
Emotionally, mentally, physically. Because, like, if you're not taking care of yourself, then it's like you're going to burn out and you're not going to be able to help people because you can't help yourself. So
Right, right.
I
No,
think
that's
just
good.
having support is really important.
I
So,
think that is actually one of the biggest keys, is having that support. And
mm,
I always tell people to think about investing in themselves beyond what they would normally invest themselves. And the reason
yeah.
for that is because you're when you're investing in yourself, then you're invested. Okay, because
Mm,
you're paying, so you're going to pay attention. And
right.
here's where, I even noticed that, like, if I sign up for,
Mm,
let's say, a lot of when I was first starting out, I used to sign up all the time for like free programs, right?
yeah,
Or I
totally.
used to do the low cost coaching packages, whatever. And they're still sitting in my computer somewhere. I'm sure they're in there
Same.
somewhere,
Same.
But when I started to pay 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 to my coaches,
Right.
I was paying attention. I was showing up. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, there is no way I'm going to pay all this money and not do the work. you know?
No, definitely. I
So,
think you
yeah.
definitely show up differently for things that you pay for. And granted, I do think that there can be value in free things,
Oh, yeah,
especially for
100%.
people
Yeah.
to, to have like free resources or things for people to get a taste of your coaching or just to help people, right? Just
Yep.
to equip them. But I totally agree. I've definitely seen that in my own life too. I show up, I'm like on time for the
Yeah.
calls. If you're investing in a coach or a program, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm doing the work. Because it's like with entrepreneurship, it's like if you don't put in the work, there's no results, right? So it's like you
Exactly.
have to be willing to kind of work hard in silence, like even when you're not seeing a ton of fruit,
Yeah.
and then kind of
Yeah.
have patience to be able to see kind of the fruit of, what you're doing.
Yeah,
So,
right, of all the seeds you planted. And that's what you have
yeah,
to remember, that even in real life, if you
yep,
plant a seed, you're not going to get something the next day. It takes time
right,
for it to cultivate and grow. And
absolutely.
some things take forever, like avocados take like 4 years to grow an avocado, like lemon trees
I love
take
that.
2 years to grow lemons. Like, why we
Totally.
show up to the world thinking it's a
Right.
microwave situation,
Yeah.
and
Not
it's
Amazon.
exactly. And I think one of the best things I can say about having a coach in your life, for those of
Yeah.
you who are listening and are considering it, is that it cuts the learning span time for you. So
Yes,
instead of you
absolutely.
having to go and learn a particular skill, whether it's professional development, whether it's
Right.
business, whatever it is, it could take you 10 years, 12 years to learn it on your own.
Absolutely.
But if you go with the right coach, it could take you a year. It could take you 6
Totally.
months. It could take you maybe 2
Totally.
years, depending on where you're going. And,
Absolutely.
one of the things, I don't know, Taylor, you have coaches, so that's good. But one
Yeah.
of the things I remember was having, I would have good coaches, but they wouldn't
Mhm.
give me all the pieces, right? So
Mhm.
I would have this with this coach and that with this coach and then this with that coach. But then I would still be
Mhm.
left with like, I don't
Right.
have what I need, right? So that's
Totally.
yeah, and that's why as coaches, we learn from all of our other coaches. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from
Yep.
money invested and nothing came out of it. Like that's how
Totally.
you learn. So don't be
Absolutely.
afraid. Just go invest. If you're right, if
Totally.
you dive with somebody, if you're listening to Taylor right now and you're like,
Yep.
oh, I like her energy and I like what she's doing,
Yeah.
then what are you waiting for? Like, hello, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to
Yeah.
get on it. Get on it. Like it's
Yeah.
life is short. You just got to do it.
Yes. No,
So
that is definitely my motto too. I think it's just like you can't move a parked car, right? Like it's better
yeah.
to be in motion and to try stuff out. And obviously there's times and seasons for sure of waiting, right? And
Mhm.
doing stuff like that, but it's like again, a lot of times when we convince ourselves it's time to wait, it's because we are afraid, right? We're
Yeah.
afraid of failing, we're afraid of investing money in something that doesn't work, right? But I think investing in a coach really has to be like an intuitive decision, right? It has to be something where like you really resonate with the coach's energy and what they're
Yeah.
sharing, and you're getting a lot out of even their free content, right? Whether it's on social
It's
media or
true.
different places. And I know with coaches I've worked with in the past, I felt very connected to the coach and what they were
Mhm.
sharing and their style. And I look back, I'm like, yeah, I've not regretted a single investment I've made because it
Yeah.
totally changed my life and the trajectory of even what I want out of life. And I
Yeah.
think that's the power of working with a really good coach, is that they don't make the decisions for you, but they help guide you to get in touch with your own intuition, right? And so that you're making empowered decisions that you're owning and you're creating a life that you love, right? And
Right.
you're starting to move in the direction of kind of stuff that scares you, but stuff you're called to do.
Right.
Um, so that's just the best. I love
Yeah, I
it.
love it too. I absolutely love it. I think this is the best career move I've made.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've done a lot of really great things in my life as far as career is
Mhm.
concerned, but
Yeah.
pouring into other women and seeing them grow and develop their own
Yes.
coaching businesses. And then I went and I actually hired and developed a whole team for marketing and
Mhm.
automation and all that because that's what I needed in my life.
Yeah,
So the thing
absolutely.
is like the more we learn and grow, the better we get and the more results we can give. And so if you're starting out, just start. Just start. I
Absolutely. You gotta start
promise
somewhere.
you.
You
Yeah,
have to
I
start
promise
somewhere.
you know something somebody else doesn't know
Right.
and you can help them with it, right? So, Taylor,
Yeah,
before we wrap up because I kept you a
yeah.
couple minutes past
Oh,
your
it's okay.
time. I just love talking to you. So
Aw.
just tell us
Yeah,
where people can find you, where they can, you know, work
absolutely.
with you, follow your
Yeah.
content, things like that. Yeah.
Definitely. Yep. So definitely the place I probably hang out the most is Instagram. So my Instagram is at Tay Ely, Tayyely. And feel free to send me a DM. I would love to just connect with you. I love, just connecting with other people, men and women. I've coached both. I primarily work with women, but I have coached both men and women.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, my big thing right now that I'm focusing on is my one-on-one 3-month program. I do offer one-off sessions, but just the one session, because really I am big on the deeper transformation,
Yeah.
right? And you can
Mhm.
get a lot out of a session with a coach one-on-one, but it's really over time that you see more of the bigger life
Yes.
change and
Yes.
transformation because you're able to build that relationship and trust and have accountability on your goals. So I would say if you're a woman who's just like looking to change her life, looking to really align with her core values, really even just like heal your relationship with yourself, right? Because we all sometimes deal with the negative self-talk and have
Yeah.
confidence blocks that kind of hold us back. Like that is really what I specialize in, is helping women with that, because that was me and that was what
Yeah.
I have overcome. And so I really just love helping people find that deeper fulfillment and really attract opportunities and things to you, right? Because we can obviously go out and do all these things in our life, but it's like you become a magnet when you actually
Yeah.
find that deeper alignment for yourself.
Yeah.
So
No, well, thank you so much for
yes.
hanging out with us and, dropping all these little gems. And, I really appreciate you
Mhm.
taking the time to be here. And I love the work that you're doing. So keep up
Mhm.
the amazing work and keep transforming lives. Thank you for
Well,
being here.
thank you so much, Tina. Yes,
So
I've
glad.
loved chatting with you, and I can tell you're so passionate as well, just about what you do. And I think to be a coach, you have to be passionate about what you do,
Yeah.
right?
I
Because
mean,
it's
could you imagine? Like if you
so
were to be like, so tell me about it. What happened? What's your day?
right. I
What do you
think there's
want?
nothing better in life than connecting with other people that are passionate
Absolutely.
about what they do, because life is so short, and it's like, why would you waste any time doing something that doesn't like really light you up? So I
Light
can
you up.
tell that's your
100%.
passion,
Oh,
and
yeah, for
yes.
sure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Yes.
it. Thank you.
Oh, of
Guys,
course.
thank you for hanging out with me and
Yes.
Taylor. I'm going to make sure to link all of her information below. I want to make sure that
Perfect.
you get in contact with her, follow her content. Like she said, DM her. She would love to
Yep.
talk to you. So, guys, just get off the fence already and make a decision. And what I mean by
Amen.
that is a lot of us are like really struggling with whether or not we want to
Yeah.
make a decision to work with a coach. I want a really quick story before I wrap up. And you guys have heard
Yeah.
me tell this story before, but I don't know if Taylor's heard it. So
Mm.
I was watching this testimony of this guy who was an atheist, and he said
Mhm.
he went to sleep that night, and when he was sleeping, he was it was like a vision, and in one part of the
Mm.
dream, he saw like people screaming
Mm.
and crying and brimstone and all that on this side, and when he turned on this side, it was like beautiful, and he saw God, and he saw like people and stuff,
Wow.
and he's like looking at both of these things, but he's walking on a white fence. And so he's walking on the
Ooh.
fence and he's looking over there and he's looking over there. And then he says, all of a sudden in the dream, everything goes away and it's just him walking on this white fence. So the devil comes back and says, "Oh, there you are. I've been looking for you." And the guy goes, "Hold on a second. Wait a second. I never made a decision. I'm on the fence." And
Ooh.
the devil says, "Yeah, I know, but I own the fence." And I'm like,
Ooh. Wow.
whoa. So that
Wow.
testimony has always sat in my heart because he woke up and
Wow.
became a follower of God and started like giving his
Wow.
testimony everywhere. But I say that to say that, indecisiveness, sitting on a fence, waiting for something,
Absolutely.
the enemy owns the fence, y'all. So just get off the fence
Yeah.
and make a decision to choose your life. You
Totally.
only have one. So whatever that
Amen.
means to you, choose that path, right? Just a little bit of a
Absolutely.
takeaway for you. All right, guys, I love you so much. This is Neena Perez, Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You know the deal. Bye.